You've probably seen it everywhere, right? This bright yellow spice called turmeric. It's been a staple in kitchens in traditional medicine for like centuries, but lately it's been making all these modern headlines. So the big question is, do all those health claims actually hold up to scientific scrutiny? Well, let's dig in and find out.
Okay, first things first, we need to get one thing straight. There's turmeric, the spice itself, the root you might cook with, but then there's curcumin. That's the real powerhouse, the main active compound inside the turmeric. It's kind of like thinking of an orange versus its vitamin C. All those powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects we hear about? Yeah, that's all thanks to curcumin.
So, what is this big problem that curcumin is supposed to solve? Well, its main target is something called chronic inflammation. Now, when you get a cut and it gets a little red and swollen, that's acute inflammation. That's good. It's your body healing itself. But chronic inflammation? That's a whole different beast. It's this sneaky, low-level irritation that just hangs around day in and day out when it's not supposed to.
This is a perfect way to picture it. It's like having a tiny fire just smoldering away inside you. You might not even notice it at first, but over months and years, that constant, slow burn starts doing real damage to your tissues and organs. And scientists now believe this hidden process is actually at the root of a ton of modern diseases.
And when you see the list of conditions, it's kind of staggering. The damage is all over the place. We're now seeing chronic inflammation as this common threat that connects so many of the biggest health challenges we face. Everything from achy joints and arthritis and heart disease, all the way to digestive problems and even depression. So this is where curcumin enters the chat. If that chronic inflammation is the fire we were just talking about, then you can think of curcumin as the firefighter that researchers are getting really excited about. They're looking into how it can target that underlying inflammation in all sorts of different conditions.
All right, let's start with maybe its most famous use, arthritis. Millions and millions of people deal with that daily joint pain and stiffness, and a lot of them are looking for options beyond the usual medications. So, how does curcumin actually stack up?
Well, the research here is actually pretty compelling. I mean, one huge review looked at 29 different clinical trials and found that turmeric supplements made a real significant dent in arthritis pain and inflammation. And what's really remarkable is that some studies found curcumin works just as well as common anti-inflammatory drugs, like ibuprofen, but with a lower risk of those pesky stomach side effects. That's a huge deal.
Okay, so it seems to help with joints, but what about something even bigger, like our hearts? Cardiovascular disease is a massive problem around the world, and we know it's driven, at least in part, by inflammation. So you have to wonder, could curcumin step in here too?
Just look at that number, 65%. That's from a study where patients who were about to have bypass surgery took curcumin before and after, and they had a 65% lower chance of having a heart attack while in the hospital. Wow. Other research suggests it helps by making your blood vessels work better, and even helping lower that bad LDL cholesterol.
And the potential benefits don't stop there. They seem to extend all the way up to the brain. Scientists are looking into whether curcumin can help protect our brain cells, which could be a really big deal for diseases like Alzheimer's. And for depression, it might actually boost a key protein that helps our brain cells grow, which is something people with depression often lack.
And honestly, the list of research just keeps growing. There's studies looking at its potential for everything from managing IBD flare-ups to calming down allergic reactions and even reducing airway inflammation in conditions like asthma. The main takeaway here? It all circles back to curcumin's powerful ability to fight inflammation on a broad scale, which is why it's a target for so many different health issues.
Okay, so the science is definitely promising, but if you actually want to try it, how do you get the benefits? Because it turns out, just sprinkling a little on your food isn't quite going to cut it. How you take it makes all the difference in the world.
So here are the 3 golden rules. First, pick your form. Cooking with turmeric is great for flavor and some benefit, for sure. But if you're looking for a real therapeutic dose, supplements have a much, much higher concentration of curcumin. Second, and listen, this one is a total game changer. Always add black pepper. A compound in pepper called piperine can boost your body's ability to absorb curcumin by up to 2,000%. That's not a typo. And third, pair it with some healthy fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble, so taking it with something like avocado, olive oil, or even cheese helps your body actually use it.
Of course, anytime we talk about a supplement, we absolutely have to talk about safety. Just because something is natural doesn't automatically mean it's right for every single person or that it's completely free of side effects.
So, the good news right off the bat is that the FDA has classified curcumin as generally recognized as safe. What that basically means is that for most people, when you're using it as a spice in your food or taking supplements in moderate doses, it's very well tolerated.
However, and this is an important however, at really high doses, which you typically only get from supplements, some people can experience side effects. It's usually nothing too serious, mostly just some stomach upset, maybe some nausea or diarrhea. The best advice is always to start with a lower dose and just follow the directions on the label. And this right here is probably the most important safety point of all. You absolutely should talk to a doctor before you start taking curcumin supplements, especially if you are pregnant or breastfeeding or if you're on certain medications. It can interact with really common things like blood thinners or drugs for diabetes. The bottom line is just so simple. Check with your doctor first. Period.
So, there you have it. Turmeric is clearly so much more than just a spice to make your curry look good. It's this ancient remedy, and its active compound, curcumin, is now being backed up by modern science as a really potent anti-inflammatory agent. Now, it's not a magic bullet, of course not, but the research is pretty exciting, and as we learn more and more about how inflammation drives disease, you just have to wonder, how many more of those internal fires will we discover this golden spice can help put out?